We cannot continue to allow millions and millions, and I believe, Ted, it's 10 million people and probably more. You know, they say 3 million, 2.5 million. It's not. I believe it's many times that number. It's numbers like nobody's ever seen before. There's never been a country ever abused like this. It's an invasion. This week it was reported that Border Patrol agents have received an intelligence bulletin stating that Venezuelan dictator Maduro is opening up all of his prisons and sending vicious convicts, and these are tough ones, charged with murder, rape, and other heinous crimes straight across the border and into our wide-open USA. Our beautiful USA is being poisoned. They're allowing their prisoners to come into our country. They're pushing them in, and it is indeed, this is an invasion. And the only thing that surprised me about Venezuela is what took them so long, because other countries all over the world are doing it. Last year, we were invaded by 129 different countries. Think of it, 129 people coming in, pouring in. And many of those countries, during the course of this year, they opened their prisons. I don't know what took Venezuela so long, but they've opened their prisons and they let the roughest, toughest people that you'll ever see. You'll never see people like this. You don't know about people like this in North Carolina. You have tough people too, but they're people that like obeying the laws. They're people that love their police and respect their police and love their military. These people don't love their police and they don't respect their police. Last month, a sadistic illegal alien criminal in Texas was sentenced after committing a wild spree of home invasions, brutal robberies, and carjackings in which he handcuffed victims, beat them, and in many cases, in 4 cases, beat them so badly that they died. He held guns to the head while they were dying. Right here in North Carolina, a single day this year, illegal aliens were charged with 24 sexual assaults, including 1 illegal alien predator charged with over a dozen sex crimes, including incest of a child, a very young child, 4 years old, and 2 counts of crimes against nature. Unfortunately, your radical Democrat Governor Roy Cooper has vetoed legislation requiring authorities to turn over illegal aliens to ICE. We love ICE. Oh, those are tough guys. They go into those packs, you know, they call them packs. And they just go and they start swinging. You know, I know some of your people in these early rows, and I know some of them are tough. Would anybody like to join ICE and end up in fist fights for the rest of your life? They go into, they call them packs. Packs of very tough people, MS-13 people. They have knives. They use knives to kill people because it's much more punishing, much more, takes longer. They like that because they're sadists. They use knives to kill people. And these ICE patriots, they go in there and they just start swinging. I'll tell you, they swing and they swing and they swing, and all of a sudden you see ICE coming out, and they put them in the paddy wagon, and they take them out of the country. And you know, the other countries wouldn't allow them back. They wouldn't take them back. They wouldn't take them back in Mexico. They wouldn't take them back in Honduras. They wouldn't take them back in El Salvador. They wouldn't take them back in these countries. And I said, why aren't you taking them back? Sir, they won't accept them. They won't accept MS-13. The first 2 days in office, I said, why? They said they won't accept them. I said, why won't they? Because they don't want them back, because they sent them here. Let me tell you, they sent them here. When they come into the caravans, I think it was another name I made up. I made up plenty, like fake news, like some Republican names too, but we won't mention because now they're all friends of mine. But I said to them, why won't they? They won't do it. They don't want them. I said, that's all right. Do we pay them money? Honduras. Do we pay El Salvador? Do we pay money to these? Yes, sir, you do. How much do we pay? Approximately $750 million, sir. I said, so we pay $750 million, they won't take them. Inform those countries immediately that we're not paying any money to them anymore. We are going to not pay any money because they won't take back the convicts, the prisoners, and some very bad people and terrorists that they sent over to us. So about 20 hours went by, not 24, a little bit less than 24, and I got a call from the president of Honduras, and I got a call from El Salvador, and I had a couple of other calls where they came in. Sir, I understand that you're not going to be sending any more money to my wonderful country. We were working so hard on economic development projects with the money. That's not. You know what the economic development is? Their pockets. I said, that's right, Mr. President. I won't be sending any more money to them because you won't take the people back. You know, they used to line up airplanes, Ted, on their runways so that we couldn't land the plane. And then they'd set up very strong borders for our buses, where we had buses loaded up with gang members and bad people, killers, murderers, rapists, and they wouldn't let them in. So I said, no, we're not going to give you any money anymore unless you decide to say we'd welcome to have MS-13 back. We look very much forward to having MS-13 come back. They said, sir, I'd like to tell you that it would be our great honor to take them back. Please be advised that our airports are open, our borders are open. Please send them back. And you know the interesting thing? I still never paid them the money, I figured. It's funny. But you know what angered me more than anything, Ted? I have to tell you this. So we had done that, and we were paying them very little. They were getting a lot, but they were getting $750 million. That's a lot. About 3 countries, primarily 3 countries. And then I heard the new administration comes in. Then I heard they were going to give them $4 billion, $4 billion. And I said, why? Because they want economic development to take place, because this way people won't come in. Can you believe the stupidity of this? So instead of $750 million, they're now giving them $4 billion. And you know what? I didn't check this, but I'll bet they don't take the gang members anymore also. Okay, I'll bet you that. When Republicans take back Congress, we should immediately pass the bill introduced by Ted Budd, allowing the victims of sanctuary cities and states to sue for damages when a loved one is hurt or killed as a result of these deadly people and deadly policies. Great, Ted. North Carolina should be a sanctuary for law-abiding Americans, not criminal aliens. We are going to make America great again, and our first task is to make America safe again, right? Safe. Just recently, a young 18-year-old man from North Dakota, I'm sure you read this over the last 2 days, named Cayler Ellingson, a young man, so handsome, beautiful, 18 years old, was targeted and killed, run down in cold blood with an SUV by a radical left maniac. He was a radical left stupid person simply because he was a Republican, and he was so proud of being a Republican, and this guy ran him down, and not one mainstream media network has even mentioned this horrible crime. Think of it. Now think of it the other way. Think of it the other way. Supposing a MAGA person ran down somebody on the other side, it'd be the biggest story you've ever seen. It's a disgrace. You people should be ashamed of yourselves. You should be ashamed of yourself. And our hearts go out to the parents and the friends. This young boy, this was a young man, wonderful, with a great future. And I'm just telling you, just so handsome and so beautiful and so great. And he got run down by a radical left nut job. Here in North Carolina, the radical Democrats have unleashed violent and hardened criminals to prey on innocent women and children. You know that. They're releasing them all the time. 4 weeks ago, a pregnant woman was viciously shot in the head in a road rage incident in Raleigh. You know Raleigh? Do we all know Raleigh? Just hours after learning she was going to have a baby. She had just learned this, and she was shot in the head. Recently, a young mother was carjacked in broad daylight in a mail that, I mean, right by a post office, right by a mall, an open parking lot in Durham, as her 10-month-old son was sleeping in the back seat, killed. And in Charlotte, a few weeks ago, a 48-year-old mother of 4 and grandmother of 3 was ruthlessly gunned down and killed in a robbery after she stopped at an ATM machine to get some money to buy groceries. Much of the crime wave is caused by drug dealers who, during the course of their lives, and you have to remember this, because it's always tough to say what I'm about to say, but it's a great thing. A drug dealer will kill an average of 500 American citizens during his or her life. They'll destroy, kill 500, not to mention the destruction of millions and millions of families that are so badly hurt. And I'm calling for the death penalty of drug dealers and human traffickers, which will, upon its passage, reduce drug distribution and crime in our country on day one by 75%. And I think Ted Budd would head it up. I think Ted Budd would head it up. You know, when I went to China, I've told this at a couple of rallies, our rallies are bigger than ever. Look at this rally. If you get out and vote for Ted Budd, Ted, you're not losing, I can tell you that. You're not going to be losing. But I went to China, and I got along very well with President Xi until the virus came in. Then I said, the hell with it, but I got along well. But I went to China, 1.5 billion people. I said, President, do you have a drug problem? He looked at me like, what kind of a stupid question is that? No drug problem. I said, you don't have really? You don't have? No. Probably thought I was not very sophisticated. He said, can you believe the stupidity of a question like that? And I said, so you have 1.5 billion, second to India, catching up with India, actually. But those are the two biggest at about that number. And I said, so you have why don't you have a drug problem? Quick trial. I said, quick trial. Let's see. I think I know what that means, quick trial. He said, yes. When somebody in our country sells drugs, we take a trial. It's a very quick trial. It goes very quickly. And if they're guilty, that person is executed immediately. And we have no drug problem. And he said, what happens is we had a tremendous drug problem, he said, in China, tremendous. In fact, China was reduced to a weak country a century ago because it was all drugged out with the fields, the opium and the different fields and different kinds of drugs. And I also told them, by the way, don't send any fentanyl to the United States anymore, don't do it. And we had it way down. And then as soon as I was out, they're sending in record numbers, they're killing hundreds of thousands of people in our country. But I learned from that. And then Singapore, the same thing, and other countries. And, you know, we have blue ribbon committees made up of socialites and nice people, but they don't really understand what this is all about. Remember this. If you do the death penalty for drug dealers, you will cut crime in this country, I think, by more than 80% immediately. If it's a meaningful death penalty, it'll take place immediately. And the only places that don't have a drug problem are the places that have the death penalty for drug dealers. So I know it's tough to say. I sort of didn't want to say it. I've said it for the last couple of weeks. My people, my great geniuses that do political stuff, you know, that we all have to suffer through. Mark, we have to listen to these people. But, by the way, how good a lieutenant governor do you have, right? Stand up, man. You've got a future. You've got a future. Mr. and Mrs. Well, I'm very impressed. Oftentimes I do that and people just don't care. They care about you too. But if you think about it, and we would cut crime in the country because a big part of our crime is drug-related crime. We have to get tough in our cities. The big thing, we have to get so tough in the cities. You know, it was up to the governors to do. And we had the governors, and they don't want to do it. All Democrat-run cities and states, they're the ones that are letting this happen, and they're destroying our great cities. They are destroying them like never before.